Nani ko lau poko I ke kaunga nau nā paliwi. E lele I tau apua ke ai kana he. O hala e nei nā puahi le ua o laniu. O pulu ia nā palai canoe lani. O la ka aina I tau ai o la mai ka lewa mai. O la ka lehu I ka hana pono mai kai. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e.
Aloha. I want to welcome you to our virtual canoe fest here at Hakipuu, Kualoa, where we'll have great guest speakers discussing many of the cultures here at Kualoa with canoeing, the history of canoeing, and the culture of canoeing. We really want to welcome you to this program. Mahalo.
I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the history here. History that has to do with voyaging in hakipuu. And we have a very famous ancestor. You know, myself, I was born at home in Hakipuu. My family has lived here for hundreds of years. And when you consider that, to me, I'm part of this place, I'm part of the ocean, I'm part of the sky, I'm part of the trees, the sand. Hawaiʻi was a famous voyager, and he's mostly known for bringing the ulu from Samoa and planting the ulu when he came back to these islands in the ahupua of Hakipuu, where my family is from. And a friend of mine, Manu Boyd, and I were talking history about this place, and Manu mentioned Kahai's grandfather, Moikeha, and he also mentioned Moikeha's grandfather, Maveki. And that's who we are, the people of Hakipuu. We are descendants from this great lineage of voyaging. The Hōkūleʻa was launched from this area, which is now called Hōkūleʻa Beach. After Hōkūleʻa had taken that initial trip to Tahiti in 1975-76, when it came back, the city wanted to name this beach Hōkūleʻa Beach. And I thought that was a good idea. I also had concerns because our voyaging history goes way back beyond the Hōkūleʻa. And I wanted to make sure we honored Kahai, Moikeha, and Maweki. So while I agreed to, because they asked our family if it was okay to change the name of this beach to Hōkūleʻa Beach, I said, okay, we'll go with that. But we need to name something in honor of Kahaʻi. And that came along with a canoe that was built at the METC, Marine METC, Marine something Training Center at Anuenue Island. Marine Education Training Center, I think. And so they built a canoe for hakipuu. And my oldest son, Kala, thought of a name for the canoe. And we called it Ulumua. And Ulumua sits in the tent over there. And I was glad that we finally also honored Kahaʻi, because Ulumua means the first ulu, the first breadfruit. And so it's nice that we named the canoe Ulumua. This whole place is just filled with history. And, you know, I know more about the modern history that when I was born in 1945 up to now. So one of the things, you know, after the Hōkūleʻa was launched in 1975, it went down several times, I think, to the South Pacific. And I was very privileged to be part of a Festival of Pacific Arts that was held in Rarotonga, where canoes from all over the Pacific came. And there in Rarotonga, they had built an ahu, just similar to this ahu, where canoes would bring stones from where they came from, and these stones were placed on the ahu. And I think that tradition goes back to Raiatea in Tahiti. But so the canoes brought the stones to Rarotonga and put them on the ahu. And when Hōkūleʻa came home in 1995, I think, actually Hōkūleʻa was launched in 1976, came home from Rarotonga after several voyages in the Pacific in 1995 or 1996, someplace around there. And it brought back, I think, 4 canoes that sailed up from the South Pacific and came to Hakipuu. And Polynesian Voyaging Society, I think his name was Charlie Ane, was the head. And he wanted an ahu built to have some place to place the rocks that these canoes were bringing to hakipuu. So our ohana from hakipuu decided that we would build this this ahu. And I had a friend who was a mason, and we built ahu like this up towards Hōkūleʻa Island when we had our Makahiki festival up there. And he built it in this circular pattern. And so I was asked to design this ahu. And I decided, I like this idea of a circular, because this is how the ahu in Rarotonga was in a circular, similar height to this. And where were we going to get the stones to build this ahu? We sent out word to our families from the Ko'olau area, Ko'olau Poko and Ko'olau Loa, to help us and bring pohaku from their ahu pua'a to help us build this one. And it was very nice that I think we got our family from Kahuku all the way to He'ia and probably beyond to bring pohaku, and we built this ahu from those from the rocks that people brought, and we filled in the core with coral from here and sand. And then when the canoes came, they brought their stones, and we placed the stones on this ahu. When we were building this ahu, we had to decide where we're gonna put this ahu. And over there is a stone building that's the Judd family called a bathhouse, I think. It was when I was growing up, there was a roof on it, and then there was like a basement underneath. But when the parks came to this area around late 60s and 70s, they did a lot of archaeological work. And by that building, they found a pua'a that was laid out in ceremonial style. And that ho'okupū was what was presented at the ahu way back when. So hakipuu is a ahu pua'a. Kualoa is a ahu pua'a. Ahu is a altar. Pua'a is a pig. So during the makahiki time, a pig would be offered on the ahu. And if you didn't have a pig, you could carve one, and we've used carved pua'a. I remember making it out of, or someone in the family making it out of kukui, because kukui is the kinolao, the plant form of the god Lono, and makahiki is in honor of the god Lono, and the kukui is the plant form of Lono. So that's why we use this, and we placed it also, and you know, finding the pua'a by that building is in line with a ridge that goes up to Kanehoalani, and then the ridge comes down, and it runs through that building over there, and we place this in that same line. So that's why this ahu is built here. And pretty historic, this ahu, because it has the stones that were brought from the South Pacific and brought here. We need to make sure that we prevent vandalism, and we have to deal with that. You know, we warn people that, oh, the guy's hand gonna come panic, and if they take the rock from on top over here. But you know, and when you walk around, we don't see anybody with funny kind hand, because the people know we're serious. Yeah, I don't know where the guys come from with funny kind hand. They don't come back. Nah. Okay, so this is the ahu. And some other important wahipana about this place. I've already talked about that area where the Hōkūleʻa was launched and has the name Hōkūleʻa Beach. Beyond that area is a launch site where hakipuu ohana and the city and county and Polynesian Voyaging Society with Nainoa Thompson and John Morgan from Kualoa Ranch, we chose a place that we wanted to make as a smaller canoe launching place where we could leave canoes and launch from. And that's about where the Hōkūleʻa was launched. It's about 100 yards mauka of that down the beach. This area is also the site of an important happening when the Hōkūleʻa was going to embark on its voyage around the world. The Dalai Lama came to Hakipuu to bless the voyage. And when he came, our family and a group called Kapiko, the Pico group, the Pico organizes events here. And so the Pico of our area, the group called the Pico, were responsible for the Dalai Lama when he came here. And so I was tasked with welcoming the Dalai Lama. But actually, the Pico gang and other members of Hakipuu Ohana welcomed him with a chant that Liko, my middle son, composed or recomposed. Called Oli Kuamo. And we had chosen, well, Liko had composed that chant, put it back together. I think it's an old, the ideas come from before, but he put it together in a chant called Oli Kuamo'o, and at our school, Hakipuu Learning Center, we use that as part of our protocol in the morning and protocol when we leave school. And the words of the chant are Iwi o ku iwi, bones of my bones, koko o ku koko, blood of my blood, pilikamo. Our stories are intertwined. Our stories are the same. Mauloa, forever. So this is what we used for welcoming the Dalai Lama. I may as well do the story of why Liko did that chant, or composed that chant. When the canoes were coming from Rarotonga, the canoes that had met in Rarotonga and were going to come back with the Hōkūleʻa, one of them was from Aotearoa. And Aurere, I think, was the name of that canoe. So my three sons had studied Maori culture and language and dance. So they were familiar with a dance style called a haka. And they learned haka too. So we knew that typically the people from Aotearoa would do this haka, this war chant. And when you come to somebody's place, like they were coming to our place, hakipuu, you need to ask permission. And you do it in the form of what we call kahea. And depending on how you ask, we will decide if we will welcome you or not. So it was a dilemma for us. Aotearoa going to do one haka, one war dance, and they want us to welcome them. What kind is this? You gonna make war with us and then you like come on top of our shore. Kinda. So Liko put together this chant called Oli Kuamo to remind the people from Aotearoa coming on this boat that our bones are the same, our blood is the same, our stories is the same forever. In fact, the stories from Aotearoa acknowledge that they came from here. Hawaii'i, before they went down south and to Aotearoa where they live now. So basically they're family. So how do we respond to this war chant? We tell them, hey, Your bones same like mine. Your blood same like mine. Our story same thing. This has been forever. But just in case, we decided to get ka-eke-eke, bamboo poles. And we lined the beach, our family lined the beach, and we had these big cement things so that you could hear the ka-eke-eke being pounded on the beach. And so we pounded our ka-eke-eke, and Liko led the call and response. And I forget exactly if they did, in fact, do the haka, but maybe they just did it under their breath, you know. But anyway, that's the story of the uli kua mo'o. Anyway, we welcomed the Dalai Lama with that same chant. And the Dalai Lama did the blessing of the canoe. He went on a Hōkūleʻa, did the blessing with the Pico gang. And I had to do an address. So in my address to the Dalai Lama, I did a translation. Bones of my bones, blood of my blood. Our stories are the same forever. After the blessing, everyone came up on the beach, came up over here where there was a tent set up for a press conference for the Dalai Lama. And he was asked by one of the reporters about world peace. How can world peace be achieved? And his response was, you remember that man was talking about bones of my bones, blood of my blood. Our stories are the same forever. That's what world peace is. That's what the Dalai Lama said. And he put it on his, I don't know what kind, I don't think he used Twitter though. But it was out on his social media too. And that was nice, you know. And I always thought that was the mission of the Hōkūleʻa. We would take care of the whole world. And as we're doing this, we do it because we have aloha for the whole world. And to me, that's what a canoe, when you look at this canoe, or about only 60 feet long, and it's going around the world with a message. What is that message to me? We're going to take aloha. You know, that's what we have here in this ahupua. We have aloha. And we're going to take it throughout the world. And, you know, that's a mission for all of us to always do. And we also take care of the earth. You know, right now we have global warming. And just one more thing I think I want to conclude with is in the area that we did our launching site, the university, the parks, Windward Community College, Kualoa Ranch, and the city and county of Honolulu, and Hakipuu Learning Center. We've been concerned about the erosion that's being caused by global warming, because we have to take care of the bones of our ancestors. And out in the front of the park, if you go out to the open ocean, as you come into the park, if you walk straight out, those are burial sites of our kupuna. And me and my son and our family, with the help of the parks, Will and Teo, we prepare the bones and we have a site to put it. I'm concerned about more and more bones being unearthed. And you know, in Hawaiian tradition, one of the worst things, maybe, you know, back then anyway, I don't know, probably, but, you know, if you wanted to curse somebody, you would say, may your bones be exposed to the sunlight. So if our bones are being exposed, that's not good. And so at Hakipuu Learning Center, we tried to figure out ways to mitigate the erosions. But back down here, if you walk along the beach, you see all these trees are falling down. And I want to get ahead of it. So I'm planting coconut trees, because the roots of the coconut trees can hold the sand. And if you just walk over there, you see where the coconut trees stay, or the sand still around them. And then I'm also looking at How, because I see How further down the beach, and where there's How, it holds the sand. So up in the front, I'm not sure what we're going to do, but we have been trying to mitigate up there. Over here we're planting coconut trees. So on my birthday, every year I tell people come to my birthday, except when get COVID-19, we'll postpone them. Can we make Zoom kind of birthday party? But I tell them, don't bring me presents. I don't need presents. Bring me coconut trees, and let's plant them. Okay. So anyway, there's the trees over there, and my friend used to plant all along the beach, and they're still growing. So I'm, you know, that's how we can continue to take care of this earth and always be reminded we gotta change. No can make all this kind heat, and the whole world is hopefully not too late. But I think, anyway, we're very lucky because we have this beautiful place to enjoy. And as we enjoy this place, maybe we can contemplate about how to keep this place beautiful and keep the aloha to the aina, but also amongst each other. Okay. Shoot. Mahalo.
Aloha! I want to welcome you here to Kualoa Regional Park. I want to talk to you a little bit about our program, our Ocean Rec program. It's a great program where we reach out to the children of Oahu. We teach the kids many things. We teach them how to paddle canoe. We teach them how to sail canoe. We teach them the makahiki games. It's a great place for them to learn the culture of Oahu. This place is a very sacred place, Kualoa. It's a wonderful place. It's a beautiful place where the kids can get in touch with their culture, their ancestry, and the aloha spirit that runs through all of us. So I really want to welcome you and welcome your children to spend time with us this summer and visit Kualoa Regional Park, Campground A. I'm going to leave you guys with Kualoa Rap Song, which we sing to the kids on a daily basis. So here we go. 2 years ago, a friend of mine asked me to say this MC rhyme. So I said this rhyme I'm about to say. The rhyme was definite and it went this way. Took a swim test in the swim hole. I was amazed how far I could go. Then Justin put me inside the canoe. I was so happy I didn't know what to do. Then I took a walk to the fish pond where I lost my shoe. And then I saw a big honu. See, that's the life that I lead in Kualoa, so don't you see? So put your hands up in the air, wave them around like you just don't care. Say hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Have a great day. Peace. One, two, three.